because the bells, the alarm bells, they are ringing non-stop. The time is running very short. There is no more time. Time is finished. Time is finished and mankind is still sleeping. In this month of Safar, so many, they're saying, don't believe those people who say the month of Safar is special and you have to make special istighfar, you have to make special asking for forgiveness. It's not special. Basically, they're saying anytime you're making any special prayer, they're saying don't pray. Not necessary. Just be regular, be normal. Anytime anyone wants to pray, we are encouraging them to pray. You say, okay, I want to celebrate Mawlid on the month of Rabiul Awal. We say that's good. What about if I want to celebrate Mawlid in the month of Rabiul Akhir? I say that's good. What about celebrate Mawlid every month? Why not? Celebrate every day if you want. Because every day we are giving thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for making us to be part of the ummah of His most beloved one. Alayhi salatu wassalam. That's okay. But these very sour, very selfish ones, very dry, very dead ones, they say, no, you cannot. That is bid'at. Then what are you going to do? You're going to watch TV? Oh, TV suddenly is not bid'at. Listening to music that pulls you to the dunya is not bid'at. Let's not talk about harams. We don't like to talk about harams. When it comes to worshipping extra, they're saying this is innovation. So, this is the month. This is the month where we need to be more serious, pulling ourselves away from all this foolishness of the world and to be under the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the awliya Allah, trying to connect with them, asking for forgiveness, and to watch ourselves. Watch yourself. Watch what you say. Watch where you are walking. Watch your activities. Watch your intentions. These words are for you and for me. If you don't like, leave it. I'll take it for myself. For the sake of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, we're asking for forgiveness in this month, for us to become strong ones, for the curse not to touch us, for our way to be open, for the nazar to be lifted from us, for the confusion to be away from us, for every opening, dunya and akhirat, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be open for us. Wa min Allahu tawfiq. Al-Fatiha. Amin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Any questions anyone has, ask.
The government in my country has said that Naqshbandi Haqqani Tariqat is a deviation from real Islam. I have just taken bayan and I'm confused. Is this true?
It's true. Of course it's not true. Those who are Wahhabi minded, they're going to say Tasawwuf and Tariqats is a deviation from Islam. It did not happen this time only, or in this country, or in this century. It's happened through all the century. From the beginning of Islam, anyone who is teaching Tasawwuf, Tariqat, what you call Sufism, the others, they're not understanding because their faith and their level is not there, and they say this deviation, and they say this is wrong. Let me go further than that. When Prophet ﷺ passed, Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu an, who was the closest companion to the Prophet ﷺ, which, being close to the Prophet and almost always with the Prophet ﷺ, he had access to so much knowledge that the Prophet has. Not only he has access, but the Prophet ﷺ said, whatever Allah has put in my heart, I pour into the heart of Abu Bakr. Pour into the heart of Abu Bakr Siddiq. Yet, when we look at the collection of the hadiths, Hazrat Abu Bakr collected only the hadiths that came from him. It's only a handful. And is dealing with Sharia matters. How can it be that the closest companion, who has spent his whole lifetime, that Prophet said, whatever knowledge Allah has put in my heart, I pour into the heart of Abu Bakr Siddiq, meaning Hazrat Abu Bakr, his heart contained the prophetic knowledge and the light and the wisdom and everything that Allah has put. How can he come up with only a few hadiths? What happened to all the rest? This is what happened to all the rest. He burnt them. Whatever hadith knowledge that he got and he wrote down, he burnt them. When his daughter asked, "Oh my father, why are you burning all this knowledge?" He's saying, if the Sahabis, don't forget now, this is the time of the Prophet, right after he passed. We're not talking about Wahhabi governments or organizations or common Muslims. We're talking about the Sahabi Kiram. And Hazrat Abu Bakr is saying, if the Sahabis were to know what I know, they would cut my neck off. Of course, it's not meaning the higher level Sahabis who had access to this spiritual knowledge too. The Hazrat Abu Huraira, Hazrat Ali, Hazrat Usman, all the rest of the Hazrat Abu Zar. It's talking about all the other ones. We're not now going to sit and judge to say this one is higher, this one is lower, this is good, this is bad. No, we're not Shia. We say all of them, they are blessed. They have different stations, and we can never come close to them, let alone to judge them. But Hazrat Abu Bakr is saying openly, if they know what I know, they're going to cut my neck off. Same thing the Hazrat Abu Huraira did also. If they know what I know, they're going to cut my neck off. So, which means what? Which means that if they know what I know, they're going to say that I'm out of Islam, and they will kill me for it. Hazrat Abu Bakr is saying this. Hazrat Abu Huraira is saying this. And that had continued from that time through every century. Everyone, especially the scholars who are knowing everything about Islam but the Zahir Islam, just the shell of the Islam, they don't understand the meat. They're going to say, this is shirk, this is bid'at, this is wrong, this is that. Hujjatul Islam, Imam al-Ghazali, Hujjatul Islam, the proof of Islam. Before he started taking a Shaykh and learning from a Shaykh and learning Tasawwuf, he knew everything about Islam, Shariat, the shell, the protection. We're not putting down Shariat also. Shariat is important. Shariat dictates that the man has to have a beard. We have a beard. Shariat dictates that a man has to cover his head, especially with a turban. We're wearing that. We're doing everything that Shariat, as much as we can, we are carrying it too. We're not looking down on it. But we're saying it is not the be-all. It is not the everything. Shariat is not everything, but Islam is. The hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam, Islam, Iman and Ihsan. A faith is 3. Tasawwuf is falling into Ihsan. Doing everything as if we're seeing Allah. And if we don't see Allah, Allah sees us. Ihsan means to beautify, isn't it? To have perfection, to have sincerity, the completion of your faith. Islam deals with the actions, the do's and the don'ts. Iman deals with the belief. Now ihsan is the another factor. The secret knowledge that the friends of Allah, who are the inheritors of the Prophet, they may also be scholars, by the way, that they have, that they will teach to perfect, to beautify your faith. Without that, it is not perfected. Hujjatul Islam, Imam al-Ghazali, he knew everything, but he realized that he has a crisis of faith. He knew knowledge, but he lost his faith until he started learning and sitting and being with the Salihin, as the Quran, ayat of the Quran is saying, until he started studying with the Ahli Tasawwuf. Then he started to become Hujjatul Islam. And he wrote the revival of the Deen, Ihya Umuluddin. He wrote, and up till, from that time up till today, it became a solid foundation for Islam, for the Ahlul Sunnah Aqidah. Without that, it was always going to be off balance. Yunus Amre is a poet. He was a dervish who served his Shaykh for over 40 years, just carrying wood from the forest and bringing back. Years he was doing that. He was not sitting, eating, joking with the Shaykh. He was not making zikr even with the Shaykh. He was just making service. And now murids forget about making service. They don't do service. They get sick and tired of Dergah, sick and tired of this life. Allah Allah. But you know Zamre, because he submitted to his Shaykh, and with that submission, it comes so much joy, so much love. That difficulty, because he accepts it, comes with so much faith and so much joy, that he was in the mountains while he was collecting wood. He was talking to the flowers, he was talking to the birds, he was talking to the fish, he was talking to everything. They were speaking to him and he was speaking back. He had so much karamat. He started writing poetry, praising Allah, praising the Prophet, praising his Shaykh. He had so much karamat that one day when he was traveling, it was him, no? He was traveling with he met some dervish. And nighttime falls. The dervish just opened their hands and says, Ya Rabbi, we are in your hands, provide for us. And a miracle happened and food came to them. This is real, this is true, and it happens. It happened to Shaykh Efendi. Hazrati Joshua, who is this? From Yusha alayhi salam. Our Shaykh was at his tomb, and the food came from an unseen hand from behind him, providing the food from Hazrati Yusha alayhi salam. These things still happen, but it requires a lot of training, it requires a lot of faith, not to have doubt, not to have spoiled, not to say, oh, I don't like this, I like this. Complete submission. That time, everything will crack open and you'll see the reality, how this world is spinning. So, the dervish asked, Ya Rabbi, provide for us. Food was given. It appeared. The dervish and Yunus Emre started eating. Alhamdulillah. The next night, the other dervish asked. Food suddenly appeared again. The third night, they turned to Yunus Emre. Yunus Emre, he didn't think he was an awliya. Now so many coming to tarikats thinking they're awliya. So many just because they're making a couple of zikr, they think they're awliya. Some having dreams a little bit here and there, they think they're such high level. They go around telling people, I'm high level. I make zikr everywhere. Some, just because they have some sort of vision, then they think that they are somewhere. Shaitan plays tricks with you. Don't. Easily look how a Shaykh and how the ones that he has trained, how they live, how they speak, how they handle such matters, follow them. Any deviation that you take, it will bring you to disaster that time. Because now Dajjal is everywhere and is tricking especially the Ahli Tariqat people. But Yunus Emre, so much miracles he had, he never thought that he was anyone. So those two dervishes, they said, yeah, they said, now, because they are very humble people, they don't go saying, introducing themselves. No, they don't speak too much too. They said, now you pray for us. We've come, we prayed before for Allah to send us rizq, sustenance, and Allah answered our prayers. Now you pray. Maybe we will get something better. Now Yunus Emre, he started shivering. And he said, these are such high-level murids, high-level dervishes. That time, in the murids, everyone was able to make miracles. Now it's all gone because the heart is filled just with dunya and pleasing your ego non-stop. What you want, your pleasure, non-stop. So, Yunus Emre then opened his hands, saying, now I'm in trouble. He says, Ya Rabbi, for the sake of that saint that they asked for, because the dervishes, they never ask Allah directly. They never go direct to the Prophet. They ask for the sake of this saint, for the sake of that saint, for the sake of this wali, help us. Allah, help us for the sake of this beloved one to you. So Yunus Emre opened his hand and he says, Ya Rabbi, for the sake of the saint that they asked, for his sake, the sake of the saint that they asked for, that you gave them, for that same saint, provide us something. The sky opened and a heavenly table came. And heavenly food came. The dervishes were shocked because they say they've never seen such a miracle before. They say, you must be a big awliya, they say, for Allah to favor you so much. They started eating. They finished. Now they say, now reveal to us, please, which saint did you ask for the sake of that Allah gave you so much? Yunus Emre, he couldn't lie. He didn't know which saint because he didn't ask for that saint directly. He doesn't even know that saint's name. He says, these two, they asked for the sake of that saint. That one I'm asking, Ya Rabbi, provide. So he said, before I reveal, you say which saint it is. They said, well, we've heard of one very holy one. We've never seen him before. And we ask for the sake of Yunus Emre. And those two did not know they were traveling with Yunus Emre. Why did they achieve such high level? Because there's complete submission. Submission means good and the bad, the sweet and the bitter, the easy and the difficult, the rose and the thorn of the rose. Because it comes from you, Alhamdulillah. Not just to say, I like the rose, I don't like the thorn. What is that? So, Yunus Emre, he wrote poems, and in the poetry that he wrote, praising so much Holy Prophet ﷺ, praising his Shaykh, praising the awliya Allah, there's so many things there that the normal people, when they see, they're going to say, this is wrong. But he also wrote that in his poem. In fact, he wrote certain other things that later they discovered to be true. Sometime later, there was one mullah. You know mullah? The Sharia type, scholar type people who don't have too much spirituality. He was in charge of a library, and the library was keeping the poems of Yunus Emre, the original. So he took it, he read, He says, what? Saying this about awliya Allah, saying this about man, giving him some attributes of this, says this is shirk. So he was sitting by the river, he was reading the poem of Zamre, the collection. He says this is shirk. He tear it, he throw it into the water. He read, says this is also shirk. Oh, throw it into the water. He read, says this is bigger shirk. He started tearing hundreds of thousands of poems, throwing it into the water. Finally, he came to one poem, and that poem is saying, and this is addressed to you, O Mullah Qasim, that you sit and you judge me saying that I commit shirk. That's the time he dropped the book, he got shocked, and he says, Astaghfirullah. What a great one, beloved one of Allah. This is talking to me years later. But now all the poems, they are lost. Awliya Allah, they are saying the poems, the ilahis, they are brought to the ocean. And the fishes, they are singing the ilahis of Yunus Emre. He was praised so much by Jalaluddin Rumi, Qadasallahu Sir, that we are entering into his Mawlid time of Hazrati Rumi. Hazrati Rumi is saying, whenever I move to one station higher, I see the footprints of Yunus Emre. Whenever I rise, I see the footprints of Yunus Emre. So Ahli Tariqat, they've always been misunderstood. They've always been labeled as deviants. They've always been labeled as being out of Islam. But it's clear. Just look. If they are carrying the Shariat and the Tariqat, they're okay. If they're just carrying the Tariqat without the Shariat, put a big question mark there. Definitely. Those groups that is carrying both, it's okay. Are we carrying both? Alhamdulillah, with the blessings of our Shaykh, we're doing that. Are we getting criticism from people? Yes, from both. Why you do too much zikr, and why you are wearing too much sunnah. From both sides, they're saying. So, it's okay. Don't get confused. Because now, religion, especially if it's official, if there is official stamp of approval, to know in this Akhir Zaman, officiality means there's a big question mark there. If the newspapers endorse you officially, put a question mark there. This world recognizes you, this world right now, from regimes to media to celebrity status to internet. If they approve you, if they boost you, if they encourage you, put a question mark there. Because real Islam, from the beginning up till now, always they are running to destroy it, to put it under their feet. If the enemies of Islam is boosting, there must be something wrong. So, don't be confused. Inshallah Rahman, we are just trying to be the humble servants of Allah, to be sincere. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Okay. Bring the tea.
Do we need to have wudu when drinking water or looking at the mirror?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. You need to have wudu for everything. Oh, I get Wahhabis criticizing me too. It says, why you have to have wudu for everything? Wudu is only for praying, man. You have to have wudu only to pray. Other than praying, you don't have to have wudu. Prophet ﷺ says, if you have wudu, whatever you do is considered worship. To have wudu on top of wudu is to have light on top of light. In fact, on the day of judgment, there will be groups of people that their limbs will be shining. Prophet, this is Hadith Sharif. Because they always keep their wudu. So if you want to be dark and ugly and smelly, on the day of judgment and on this day, like these Wahhabis, then don't take wudu. Now, am I saying if you don't have wudu, you cannot drink water, you cannot look at the mirror? I'm not saying that. I'm saying it is good to have wudu. The way that they teach us to have wudu all the time, and yes, we don't eat or drink anything without wudu in our group, in our jamaat. Emergency, it's okay a little bit here and there, but now it comes to manners. Manners, it's better to have wudu. We don't have wudu, don't even do a job. Don't work. We have to have wudu. That was how the empire, the Ottoman Empire, was built, by people who have wudu. So, looking at the mirror, I know some people, they like to look at the mirror. Both feet, they are in the grave, they still look to the mirror. But you have to have wudu. It's better to have wudu. If you don't have wudu, I'm not giving a fatwa to say it is haram, you're going to have guna. But these things are not difficult for us because we are doing it and we like to do it. Once we like doing something that is sunnah, Allah sends a support to us and we like doing it. Once you like doing it, it is not like these other ones where they force themselves to do it and they feel with so much anger and hate, and when they see people don't do it, they get very upset with them. We don't get upset. I'm not going to get upset with people who don't have wudu. I'm just going to think it's pretty funny. Then I say it's better like this. Then they get pulled. Then they do it the right way. I'm not going to get upset. So, as you like. Don't look into the mirror too much. It's no good. Drink water, it's okay. But don't drink water standing up. Drink water sitting down. It's sunnat to sit. Drink water sipping, not glugging it down. Drink water before you eat. Sunnat, not to drink water while you're eating. If you can carry it, little bit here and there. Now they discover health-wise also for your digestion and for everything. The doctors, the kafir doctors, they are saying, unbeliever doctor, they are saying, don't drink water when you're eating to help your digestion. Right, doctor? Yeah. See, we have everything in Islam. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Never.
If you have a friend who is doing something wrong and you know it's wrong, what is the best way to address them, especially if their faith in Allah isn't that strong?
Pray for them. Don't force them. Don't even give them advice. Pray for them first. There are different ways to persuade someone without giving advice like that. To say, oh, you're doing something wrong. Nobody ever wants to hear, especially if their faith is not strong. Nobody ever wants to hear that they are wrong and you are right. This is when it comes into teaching. And there are certain subtleties in teaching. So there are sometimes, as a teacher, when the students, they know you and you know them, and you say, okay, now we're going to do away with all convention. I'm going to tell you straight, like this or like that, because they are ready. The teacher doesn't mince the words, doesn't speak so nicely and delicately. You say straight because you trust, and you say, okay, just I want as much as you can. Those who are still filled with the ego, then you have to speak to them nicely and delicately, otherwise they can get offended. But they have to pass through that too. If you want the real teaching, then that time is not about praise. It's about what you need to know. What you need to know, it must rest on what you don't know. If you admit you don't know that, then that time you will know. If you say, I know, then that time you will not know. If you come with a full glass, they cannot fill it up. Come with an empty cup, they can fill it up. So, but pray for that friend. Ask for holy people to pray for them. And act good, behave well by yourself as a lifestyle. your own behavior, that way you can influence them. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Okay.
What kind of zikr and worship should we do for the month of Safar?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I don't want to say too much because people, they hardly do. Enough to say that make 500 astaghfirullah every day. Or make 1,000 astaghfirullah every day if you can. If you want, make extra 2 rakats before you go to sleep. Salatul Tawbah. Recite Fatiha 1 time. Ikhlas 1 time. You want to recite Ikhlas 3 times? Go ahead. You want to recite Ikhlas 11 times? Go ahead. You want to recite Ikhlas 100 times, 1,000 times? Go ahead. It's okay. The purpose is what? To ask Allah to forgive you. What else you want to do? You want to sit and go into sajda after that? You want to go to sajda and ask Allah for forgiveness 100 times? Go ahead. You want to go to sajda and ask Allah forgiveness, staying there for 1 hour? Go ahead. Sit somewhere, say astaghfirullah, and really look at the bad habits that you have. Ask Allah for forgiveness for them, and pray to find a way out from those bad habits. It could be something physical, it could be emotional, it can be a bad habit from the way you talk, the way you think. It can be a bad habit that you don't even know is a bad habit. So, you should ask for that, then that time you're going to make very effective changes in your life. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Afiyat olsun. Say.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The weather and climate around the world seem to have gone crazy. Are disasters like floods and hurricanes punishments?
Well, you can't really say that they are blessings. There is a blessing in it, but it's not a blessing. Yes, these are punishments. So many people, especially, forget about the West. The West, they don't want to say it. They've forgotten how to say it. They used to say it's the hand of God. You say it's a punishment. But now, if you say it, they say, oh, you are cultish, you are extremist, you are this and you are that. You are crazy. It is not. They're trying to divorce now, don't you see? See, everything, it's just weather. It's just geological. It's just climate. It's nothing to do with the creator of the weather. You see? If there's a snowstorm, they don't say because Allah is sending. They say, no, because, the wind blowing from here, and the snow blowing from there, and the cold air push up, the hot air push down. Everything. That's why it's happening like that. Weatherman coming, smiling, showing his clean teeth, and showing the air here and air there. And this is why it's happening. Huh? Right? It's nothing to do with the creator of climate. Nothing to do with Allah. That's the whole plan, to separate that. Let me tell you something. As a believer, everything comes from Allah. It is a punishment. Yes, it is a punishment. Holy Prophet ﷺ, there was a time when he sees dark clouds coming, he would rush out to look at the clouds. He'll go back into his house and he'll start praying to Allah, saying, Ya Rabbi, please do not punish my nation with this storm like you punished the nation of Ad and Samud. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a sandstorm that stripped them bare, stripped their skeletons, stripped their whole city. Because why? Because Holy Prophet saw a cloud. But his nation, especially now, is divorcing. So don't even say that all these floods that's happening, especially in Muslim nations, now Muslims are saying, don't say it is coming from Allah. It is not coming from Allah. How you can say? Especially they say all these weather changes that are happening and it's punishing the poor people. not punishing the bad people. How you can say it's coming from Allah? Allah does as He likes. Number one, in these days when there is punishment coming, it's going to affect everyone, good and bad, rich and poor, holy or not holy. If you're a holy, good person, the person doesn't mind if Allah takes their life. Because they die as a martyr, they go to higher stations. Only those who love the dunya and they hate the akhirat, they'll find a problem with that. And the day of the Akhir Zaman, the judgment day, draws near because Allah is going to collect all the believers and remove them, isn't it? Judgment day is not going to happen until Allah removes everyone that says Allah. Until there's not one person in the world that says Allah, that's when the world will start folding itself. Everything is going to be destroyed. So if something happens and it affects the poor people, affects the people of faith, Allah knows what He's doing. Yes, it is a punishment. May Allah not punish us. We are not asking to be tested. May Allah not test us. May Allah let us to have enough intelligence to pull ourselves away, especially from populated areas, to live in less populated areas, far away from the cities, especially the top of the mountains. The purpose is not to run away from the azab of Allah. The purpose is to worship Allah and to live a simple life away from the confusion of the cities. Whether Allah is going to send punishment to them or not doesn't matter. As a believer in the Akhir Zaman, we're pulling ourselves out to be able to live a simple life, to be able to worship Allah. That is important. To be able to be free from fitna. That is important. But yes, definitely in this Akhir Zaman is affecting. May Allah keep us in safety. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Ashka.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. What is the proper adab for going to a grave of our family member and the tomb of a saint or a holy one?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Enter with humbleness, with humility. Recite one Fatiha, 11 Ikhlas. You may kiss the threshold if it's a holy one, a saint. Go to the tomb, to the feet side. Don't go to the head side. Show your humility. Go to the feet side. Put your head there. If you want, if you don't want, just stand. Put your hand out and recite Fatiha, 11 Ikhlas. For the sake of that one, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the barakat of this holy one. And pray and make a dua. Pray 2 rakat salatul maqam. You may pray. And sit and be with that one for a while. Make some zikr. Read some yasin if you can. Recite some salawats and be with them. Ask them for help. They are alive. It is as if you're visiting a living Shaykh. What do you do when you visit a living Shaykh? You come, you be humble, you kiss his hand, no? And you ask him to pray for you. Similar. Because they are fresh and they are alive in their grave. The tomb of a holy person does not only mean that their physical body is buried there. There are certain saints that they are so holy that they have several tombs. Like Uwais al-Qarani, he has several tombs. Our Grand Shaykh Abdullah, he has several tombs. We have his tomb here, his maqam here, upstate, here in our Dergah. Doesn't mean that his body is physically here. No, that means his ruhaniyat, his spirituality, his power is reaching to certain areas. So the tomb is built. Sahib al-Saif, his tomb will be built. In so many, all over the world too. So the power is also there. Ask, they are also present there. Of course. If Shaykh Abdulkerim Gilani Qadas al-Sir, when he is alive, physically he prayed in 70,000 masjids. 70,000 Jummah he attended. In 70,000 different masjids he attended in one Jummah. When he was alive, imagine, after he has passed, where he can be. And there are those ones who are living Abdulkadir Gilani's too. There are those ones who are holding their maqams right now also. So this is a matter of faith. These are the things that we talked about. If other people hear, they're going to say you're bid'ah, shirik, that, they're going to cut our neck off. But no. The awliya Allah, their spirit is not imprisoned by their senses. Their senses, they are imprisoned by their spirit. And the spirit coming from Allah, whatever that is coming from Allah that the spirit has, the spirit is not subject to the rules of nature and the rules of creation. Tai zaman, tai mekan. Time within time, space within space. That much we can say. Assalamu alaikum. Okay. Don't put that right next to him. He's a greedy one.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Despite trying to fight my ego, I fear I might die while in a state of bad deeds or inclining towards them. If a person dies in this state, are they forgiven?
Despite trying to fight my ego, I fear I might die. Good. That is a good fear to have. Don't worry. If you have a shaykh, if you're holding on to your shaykh and you're trying to fight against your ego, and you fear that you're going to fight, you are going to die in a state where you still have to fight against your ego and you haven't won the battle, it's very easy for the awliya Allah at that time to save you, to be on your behalf, to try to pull you out from that mess. Because you're fighting against your ego, you may die as a shaheed. Yeah. Because you're fighting. Because you're engaged in the jihadul akbar. If you die engaged in the small jihad, you become a what? You become a shaheed. What about if you are engaged in the bigger jihad and you die in that state? So the thing is, don't like it. You're saying I'm inclined. Don't like it. Okay? You may be pulled, but you're going to tell yourself, I don't like it. Ya Rabbi, please help me. Slowly, inshallah. This is a long journey that we have. Slowly, you'll come to a situation where it's going to get easier with some things, and it's going to be harder in some things. Once you pass that, you're going to go to a higher station. Once you pass that, you're going to go to a higher station. But it's never ending until you reach the state of certainty. May we reach to that state, inshallah, one day. More important than that is to serve Allah and His Prophet, to serve awliya Allah, to serve our Shaykh. Then that time it will be easier for us to fight. That time it's easier for them to reach out and to help us. Because the service, it is very valuable. Assalamu alaikum. Last question. Say.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Sometimes I get disheartened when I receive harsh criticism, even though I know I deserve it, but I feel low. Later I realize and find myself dealing with my family with the same harshness when I don't like something they do. I feel like a munafiq. How do I stop this cycle?
It's very easy. How are you going to stop it? You're going to control yourself. You're going to look those ones that is causing you hardship, for you to lose your temper. Say, I did the same to my Lord. There's a time you're going to swallow your anger, and you're going to try to find a way to teach or to correct that matter without getting upset, while you understand how much grief you cause to your Lord, to your Prophet, to your teacher, to your Shaykh. That's the time you're going to understand and you're going to feel ashamed. Turn that shame from anger to more being humble. To say Astaghfirullah. Then laugh at yourself. Laugh at yourself. And say, oh, what a problem I caused to those ones. So, harsh criticism also, make sure you get it from the right sources. Doesn't mean you can get it from anyone. I'm not saying that you should get upset with people. Don't get upset. But if your Shaykh is yelling at you, you have to accept. It's okay. Now, if your children are yelling at you and criticizing you harshly, that's completely different. You don't have to accept. If your boss is yelling at you because of the bad work that you are doing, you have to accept because it's not personal. So many times, believe me, the Shaykh yelling at you is not personal. It has nothing to do with you as a person. The Shaykh loves you. The Shaykh loves you so much that the Shaykh is going down and bringing you up. It's nothing to do with you. If the Shaykh doesn't love you, why he's being around you? Why he's putting so much energy and time? Why he's waking up in the middle of the night to pray for you? 24 hours is praying for you. Praying to Allah, always trying to ask you to get out from that mess. It's not to do to you as a person, but he doesn't like. The enemy that is inside of you, your ego, that is trying to sabotage you. The evil that is inside of you, that is trying to destroy his work and your work. That's why they get upset with you. But it's very easy now for people to mix the two up and to say, oh, Shaykh is upset, he hates me. Or Hoja hates me, doesn't like me. I don't think he likes me. It's nothing to do whether I like you or not. There are certain things that is clear, is wrong, it is my job to say. Sometimes I will say it nicely. If that doesn't work, I'll try something else. If that doesn't work, I'll try something else until it reaches. So, we are all servants of Allah. No one is perfect. Definitely. I'm not saying we are perfect, I'm perfect. No. Don't worry. I'm getting a different squeezing also from Shaykh Efendi. That we should not be talking about too much anyway. But I'm not exempt from it too. So we must come out from this childish understanding. Just because someone says, come here, oh, good boy, that means the person loves us. You will say, oh, sit over there, bad boy, that means the person hates us. We need to get out from this childish understanding. Maybe the one who says, come here, good boy, that one is evil. And he has a game that he's going to play to you, to destroy you. Maybe that one who says, sit over there, don't speak. Maybe that one is trying to save you. But people are so spoiled and they're so blind that they just want what is outside. They don't care what is inside. Should not be. May Allah forgive me and bless all of you. Inshallah Rahman, tomorrow, if you have other questions, we will answer them. If not, have a good night. I will see you tomorrow. And inshallah Rahman, may we find safety in this month for us to have more energy to serve our Shaykh better. Al-Fatiha. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Have a good night. Afiyat also.